Hey guys, so today we're going to break down Chapter 13, Nail Art in the Milady Standard Nail Technology textbook. So if you are in nail technology or manicure school, or if you're currently taking some courses, or if you just simply want to learn something new or to refresh yourself, let's get into it. So this chapter has 13 objectives. Explain how nail art impacts the nail technology industry. Introduce clients to nail art, identify the use of color theory in nail art, explain how nail polish can be used to create nail art, demonstrate the basic techniques used in hand painted nail art, describe how to use monomer liquid and polymer powder to create 3D nail art, use UV and LED gel to create an inlaid nail art design, choose when to use an embellishment in a nail art service. Describe how an airbrush machine is used to create nail art. Explain the advantages of using stencils and stamping. Describe an art technique that can be created with a dip system. And lastly, explain the benefits of participating in nail art competitions. Nail art has become the most popular add-on service in the nail salon today. It has become the main focus of increasing revenue and expanding the service menu in salons and spas across the globe. With all the new technologies and art mediums introduced in the last 20 years, it's no wonder that nail art has lifted and expanded the nail industry and the imaginations of many. Today, there are many nail art mediums with which you can choose to work, so no matter what your skill level or your artistic preference is, you can create an array of art on fingers and toes that clients will love. Remember that most of the techniques shown in this chapter can be used with many different mediums or types of products. So, about the impact of nail art. Nail art will help you to increase your salon income. It will also help you to set yourself apart from competition. You'll be able to build a loyal clientele with your creativity and also just simply inspire your creativity. So, objective number 2, introduce clients to nail art. Introducing clients to nail art has never been easier. There are many beautiful ways to display your art samples. So, you can create art on tips in a glass case or a frame. You can have a photo gallery or a portfolio online. And of course, you can also just simply do nail art on your own nails. There's I feel like the best way to get conversations going is to wear your own work. You also want to schedule ample time for nail art because some of them can be super extensive. You also want to make sure that you're pricing yourself appropriately and always have the supplies ready for your nail art service or the nail art portion of your service. Objective 3, identify use of color theory in nail art. So here is where you may want to jot down a few of the things that I mentioned here in terms of color theory. You may have some questions about color theory on your state board exam as it relates to nail art or color theory in general. So, before you can expect to successfully produce appealing nail art, you must have working knowledge of colors and how they relate, blend, clash, and complement one another. In many art supply stores, you can easily obtain a laminated color guide called a color wheel, or you can also go to Google, okay? The color wheel illustrates and identifies primary, secondary, tertiary, and complementary colors. You can also find this color wheel on page 393 in your Milady Standard Nail Technology textbook. So, what the color wheel does is, for one, helps us to understand the principles of color, and we're going to go and get into the primary colors. So your primary colors are going to be your pure pigment colors that cannot be obtained by mixing any other colors together. There are 3 primary colors. They are pure form colors, and basically every other color that we have that we see are derived from our primary colors. So the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. The only way that we can alter primary colors, or they are tend to be altered, is by adding black or white to them to make them lighter or darker. But in essence, you cannot make red, blue, or yellow from any other color. However, you can add black or white to these primary colors to either lighten them to make them a little bit more faint, or darker black to make them a little bit more intense or darker. Your secondary colors result from mixing equal parts of two primary colors. They sit opposite the primary colors on the color wheel and the complementary colors of the primary colors. So, your secondary colors are going to be orange, violet, and green. So, your secondary colors are always created when you mix two primary colors together. So, when we mix yellow and blue together, you're going to always get green. If you mix equal portions of red and blue together, you're going to always get violet. And if you mix red and yellow together, you're going to always get orange. So orange, green, and violet are your secondary colors. Then we have what we call tertiary colors. And they are a direct result of mixing equal parts of one primary color and one of its neighboring or nearest secondary colors. So for example, red orange, red violet, blue violet, blue green, yellow green, and yellow orange. They are all tertiary colors, or we may also refer to them as intermediate colors. Then we have complementary colors. And I'm not sure if you guys can see my mouse, but complementary colors sit opposite the color wheel from each other. They are directly opposite each other on the color wheel. So when you mix these complementaries in equal parts, you're always going to get a neutral or a muddy brown. When you mix them in unequal parts, they produce a neutral color that's dominated by the color of the greatest amount. When these colors are applied side by side, they enhance each other, making each other stand out or pop out. For example, a yellow flower painted on a purple nail or a green leaf painted against a pink polish would be a great example of how the two colors can enhance each other and make them stand out. Great color combinations are found by exploring, so go ahead and try many variations of your designs with different colors. You'll be surprised that the same design will appeal to many of your clients if you offer it in different color variations. That's a pro tip. So once you get you a design that you are familiar with and that you do best, then start creating different variations to change up the mix to offer your clients all something a little bit different, but somewhat the same. That could be your niche. That could be your niche design. Then we also have what we call analogous colors. So your analogous colors are located beside each other on the color wheel. And these colors typically blend together. So if you're looking at the color wheel here, your analogous colors are going to be side by side. So green, blue-green, and blue, that would be analogous. Or blue, blue-violet to violet, those would be analogous. Or violet over to red, violet to red are also analogous colors because they are all next to each other on the color wheel. Red, red, orange, and orange are also analogous colors. And orange, yellow, orange to yellow, yellow to yellow, green, and green are all analogous colors. So again, nail art has never been easier to create. All you need are the right supplies, the proper mediums, and practice to create the most perfect look for your clients. Objective 4, explain how nail polish can be used to create nail art. So polish is one of the most common mediums of nail art used in the salon or spa. When considering nail art, conservative clients will be more accepting to this medium as they're used to wearing polish. They may not be as open to your 3D or inlaid designs. So using nail polish to create nail art, if we're talking about a French tip, the nail bed is one color, such as pink, peach, or beige, depending on your client's skin tone. And the free edge of the nail is another color, usually white. The curved line where the pink and the white meet on the nail is called a smile line. You can achieve limitless variations of this traditional look just by changing or fading the color. So we can also do what they call color fades, aka color graduations, aka ombres. So these are all terms that describe when one color fades into another. The meeting point is a combination of the two. You can achieve this by applying the product more thickly and opaquely, and then using the product more thinly and translucent when meeting the other color. So when it comes to color fading or ombre, always go heavier with one color and then go lighter with the other color that you're trying to fade. It'll make it easier for your blending. You can also try things like color blocking with regular nail polish, and it's just as it sounds. The nail has blocks or sections of color, and you can achieve this look by polishing the entire nail with the base color such as black, and then painting on stripes or blocks with another color such as silver. It could also be blue, green, orange, or any other color that you like. You can also marbleize with nail polish. So marbleizing is a swirled effect when you combine two, three, or more colors when they're wet, and you mix them on the nail with a tool that's called a stylus. Sometimes we call those tools a dotting tool, but the text refers to it as a stylus. And it has a solid handle with a round ball tip on each end that can range in sizes. So the tips are excellent for swirling colors and dotting small circles of color, creating polka dots, eyes, bubbles, and much more. So the marbleized effect can be applied over the entire nail or on part of the nail for a unique nail art creation. The French manicure is one of the most popular nail art procedures in the salon or spa today. You must master the techniques and variations of it to stay competitive in the marketplace. This is definitely a go-to for lots of people. You want to try various color combinations. You also may want to try different fading techniques and also embellishments to create looks that clients will want to try. A French manicure is always an upcharge in any salon or spa, and it's an easy way to create additional income. So just know that if you're going to be doing French manicure nail art, you always want to upcharge for that. And then you can also, as far as the different polishes that we use, you can also use soak off gel polish as your chosen nail art medium as well. So you can use regular traditional polish or your soak off gels. If you use your soak off gels, then know that you're going to need a UV or LED lamp, but the same application techniques apply as your regular polish. Objective 5, demonstrate the basic techniques used in hand painted art. So let's get into the different types of brushes. So hand painting is a very beautiful and often subtle medium. Hand painting is very versatile and can be beautiful alone or combined with another medium. Your brushes are going to be what's most commonly used, or that most commonly used tool when you're painting your nail art. And your brushes are going to come in many sizes, many shapes, qualities, and range from very soft to very firm. Synthetic bristles are the best for water-based paints, and then smaller brushes are going to be usually the best choice for painting art on nails. As far as the parts of your brush, the very end of the bristles on the brush, farthest away from the handle, is referred to as a tip, or sometimes we may also call this the chisel edge, depending on the style of brush. Round brushes, for example, have pointed tips, while flat brushes have a chiseled edge. The midsection of the bristles is called the belly of the brush. This is the area of the brush that retains the most paint. So the belly retains the most paint. That's something to be mindful of when you're creating your different nail art pieces. The ferrule is the metal band around the brush that holds the bristles in place. The area in which the bristles meet the ferrule is called the heel. We can refer to that as the heel of the brush. So those are the 4 parts of your nail brush. Some of our most common brush types are listed on the screen. So you have a round brush, which is your most common and most versatile style of brush, and it has a very good capacity for holding paint. Then you have a liner brush. So your liner brushes are very good detail brushes, and it's preferred for line work, for outlining, and even lettering, drawing letterings or letters. Flat brushes, they typically have a square tip with long bristles, which gives it added flexibility. And this brush is typically used for blending and shading. Then we have a fan brush, which looks exactly like a fan, and it's also mostly commonly used for blending and special effects. Then we have a spotter brush or a detailer brush. You can call it either or, which is a short round brush with a little belly and a very fine point at the tip. And this brush offers maximum control for intricate, detailed work. And then we have a striper brush, which your striper brushes are going to be extremely long, um, flat brush with fewer fibers. It's incredibly efficient when creating long lines, striping effects, or even animal prints. There are a few different brush stroke techniques, and you may want to read upon these types of brushes and the techniques on page 397 if you're following along with your textbook. But on page 397, it talks about the brushstroke techniques. So practicing brushstrokes will help you master the art of freehand painting. Brushstrokes are accomplished in various ways, but there are three basic techniques to master: your pressure, your pull, and your position. Your pressure refers to the amount of force that an artist applies to the brush while stroking. The more pressure applied, the larger coverage area and the wider the stroke. As the amount of pressure is decreased, the width of the stroke decreases, alleviating the pressure gradually while pulling the brush across the paint surface will taper the stripe and create a point where the brush tip lifts from the surface. The second basic technique is pull. You must learn to pull the brush and not push it. Pulling the brush across the paint surface creates a more fluid line or stroke. Pushing it will give a rough and spattered stroke that is more difficult to control. And then lastly, the third basic technique is position. Position refers to how you hold the brush on the nail. For instance, the brush could be held in a straight up and down manner with only the tip touching the paint surface, which is typically what you're going to use for lettering or intricate details or outlining. Or the position can be held flat and pulled across the surface, usually when we are striping the surface. So when you combine pressure, pull, and position, you'll be amazed at how many different stroke designs you can create with only a few brushes. Some of the most versatile strokes include the comma, the C, a leaf, the ribbon, and a teardrop. You also may want to try different colors for variations in different seasons. You can also try monochromatic schemes and also striping. And if you want to just brush up and get better with your art, if you're not that great with your hand-drawn art, simply take an art class that will help you to learn different techniques and learn those advanced designs. Objective number 6, describe how to use monomer liquid and polymer powder to create 3D nail art. Monomer liquid and polymer powder can be used in a variety of ways to create unique nail art. This medium can be challenging to master, but it also has the most versatile results. So you can do things like 3D flowers, you can do fading, you can also do inlay designs. So typically when you're working with your 3D flowers, you're going to work with a dryer bead, okay? And then when you're trying to fade your colors together, you're going to more than likely work with a wetter bead. All right, so that's something to consider and to think about when it comes to using your monomer liquid and polymer powder to help you create your nail designs. So these are different ways that we can use our monomer liquid and polymer powder. You can do encapsulations or inlaid. Those two words are the same. You can do 3D nail designs, 3D flowers, any other type of 3D art. And you can also fade colors together. we recommend that you do practice picking up your beads. And again, if you're looking to do 3D nail art, you want to work with drier beads always. And then if you're doing things like blending nails together, blending colors together, then you're going to work with a wetter bead. When it comes to applying 3D nail art, you can apply your 3D nail art to harden nail enhancements. So if you are doing acrylic nails or working with hard gels, you can perform 3D nail art on top of those enhancements once they've cured. You can also do 3D nail art on natural nails. You can also apply it over polish. Just make sure that the polish is dry. And then once you're done, you may have to add a top coat for shine. And you want to be careful if you're applying 3D nail art to regular polish, because that with 3D nail art requires you to use monomer liquid and polymer powder. And if you're not careful, you can ruin your regular polish design or your polish application. Objective number 7, use UV and LED gel to create an inlaid nail art design. UV and LED gels can be used to create beautiful nail enhancements and can also be a very lucrative nail art medium. There are many colored UV and LED gels on the market today. By using some simple techniques, you can create an array of art for your clients that they'll love. Clients like the smooth surface of the nail. It's also fun to add embellishments to clear UV or LED gel, such as glitter or confetti. So anytime you see the term embellishment, that means that they're referring to some kind of confetti, some kind of foil, some type of glitter, okay? When it comes to UV and LED gels, they do have a honey-like consistency, so they may be a little bit difficult for you to work with. You may also have to flash cure if you are a beginner, or if you're struggling with creating the best inlaid nail design. You can flash cure, and what flash cure means is just partially curing the gel by putting it under the UV or LED light for 5 to 10 seconds. Once you have practiced and you have mastered UV and LED gel designs on the hands, you can easily start applying and practicing them on the toes. Objective 8, choose when to use an embellishment in a nail art service. So embellishments are the easiest and fastest nail art medium and consist of any element that can be applied to the nails, okay? So common forms of embellishments are going to be like your crystals, your rhinestones, striping tape, foils, feathers, crushed shells, gems, confetti, stickers, decals, appliques, beads, all of the things, okay? Embellishments can either go inside the nail when creating an inlaid or what we call an encapsulated design, or you can put them on top of the nail for a 3D effect. There's usually no special preparation needed for the nail or for the surface which they will be applied. It's best to just ensure that any product such as polish is dry before applying your embellishments to the nail surface. You may also use a resin or a tip adhesive or even a top coat to secure the embellishment if it doesn't have its own adhesive backing. And using a wooden stick or a wooden stick with a small dab of top coat on the end, or maybe even a pair of tweezers to pick up your embellishments may help. You also want to seal the nail with a sealer or a top coat if it is required, or if you prefer a shiny finish on the embellishment. I'm going to go to my next slide. When it comes to using foils, leafing, or other metallic films for nail art, a special adhesive is sometimes needed, and you can also attach it to a sticky surface such as cured gel, okay? There's no need to cut the foil or leafing, since it'll only stick to a tacky surface. The rest will remain on the foil sheet. So after the design is complete, you want to seal the art with gel or a polished top coat or a special nail art sealer. When you're using embellishments inside the nail, you want to make sure that they're very thin. These work best when they don't have adhesive. And you want to apply the embellishment to the nail plate, the tip extension, or sculptured extension with a small bead of product that you're using, such as a monomer liquid or polymer powder or a UV gel. Embellishments are too easy and fun not to experiment and play with, so just try mixing them and to create works of art on the nail and inside the nail to take your skills and your sets and your designs to the next level. Adding embellishments to other art mediums also create for very elaborate designs, so I do encourage you guys to play around with your embellishments as well. Objective 9. Describe how an airbrush machine is used to create nail art. Yes, airbrush used to be a thing back in the day. It may be a thing today, but since it's in our chapter, we are going to cover it. So, airbrush gives a look all on its own that's hard to duplicate with any other art medium. This unique form of painting allows for color combinations, color fading, and designs that create endless options for clients wanting flat art, meaning something that is flat on the nail that is not three-dimensional. All airbrushes work on the same principle. They combine air and paint to form an atomized spray, which releases extremely thin droplets that are sprayed onto the nails. That is how it works. Okay. The ideal airbrush system for nail art are designed for gravity-fed paint, which uses gravity to pull the paint into the airbrush. All airbrush machines consist of three basic parts, which is the handle, the hose, and the compressor. When it comes to cleaning your airbrush machine, you want to make sure that you're always finished spraying your paint. You want to add water to the paint reservoir to flush it out, and spray until it's flushed out, and then you can either put the handle away or you can add a different color. It just depends on what your next move is going to be with your airbrush machine. It also can be used over most mediums. And then just remember, when you're working with airbrush, make sure that you cover your working spray because it will spray. It's almost like spray painting. So you don't want to spray paint your station, your tools, or any of your other work surfaces. Objective 10. Explain the advantages of using stencils and stamping. Sometimes your client will request a very intricate design on multiple nails, and you will need to produce them very quickly. So in this case, a nail stencil will be a good option. Stencils are pre-cut sheets of clear, thin plastic with a sticky backing that is cut by a machine into various shapes or designs. You can also use a variety of paper, lace, mesh, fabric, or other materials as a stencil to create a unique look when creating designs. When it comes to stamping, that is a method of transferring an image from a stamping plate, to the nail. Stamping plates are commonly made of metal, and there are hundreds of laser cut designs to choose from. To make the transfer, first apply a thin coat of polish, gel paint, or pigment onto the stamping plate to fill the design. Then scrape away any excess color with a flexible plastic stamping scraper. This will leave behind the color in the design only. You will then press the silicone stamper onto the plate over the design to pick it up, and then press the stamper onto the nail to transfer the design. Unlike stencils, stamping plates can be used over and over. Objective 11. Describe an art technique that can be created with dip system. Yes, art can be done with dip. You can create the sweater effect or different matting effects, okay, or what we call the velvet effect. So, dip systems have become very popular and have become a very popular way to apply long-lasting color to the nails, as well as provide extra strength to weak nails. One fun way to use dip powder is to create nail art. So dip powders are unique because they are heavily pigmented and come in a powdered form. So it's very easy to use them to create color graduations or ombre effects. Dusting different color powders over the wet base resin Using a makeup brush can create beautiful art looks on the nail. You want to make sure to dust away any excess powder, and the design will have a velvety 3D look. So that's one unique way of using your dip, okay? Creating the velvet effect. And that's you're going to do that by creating a gel polish design on top of a finished nail and sprinkling some of your dip powder over the design and curing it in the LED or UV lamp. You can also do this with powder as well, meaning like acrylic powder. So you can create the velvet effect with acrylic powder or dip powder. That's what I'm saying. And lastly, objective 12. This talks about just nail art competitions and things that you may want to consider if you want to be that nail art competitor. So nail art competitions are very popular and they are prestigious events in the nail industry. Nail technicians from around the globe compete to prove their skills in the industry and to themselves. And so, creating beautiful nail enhancements is an art form unto itself, but nail art competitions are an open forum where there are no limitations on the imagination. So, you just want to be mindful of the rules and regulations, the judging criteria. In terms of rules and regulations, there may be a specific time frame or model or presentation requirements. There may be a specific theme that you have to stay in line with or be mindful of. There may be different specific products that may be allowed. Um, there are many categories in your nail art competition. So there's some categories from the most novice to the most veteran competition. So just get in where you fit in and challenge yourself because you can do hard things. And then when it comes to registering and um, um, for the competitions, I think it's fair enough to say follow the instructions. If they have a website, register on the website. If it's an online photo competition, you be uploading your online photos and following the rules and regulations of that competition. Reasons why you may want to compete. For one, it's just going to be an amazing learning opportunity for you. You'll be able to network with other professionals. You may even gain more clientele, more notoriety, and just establish your authority in the industry. You'll be able to also learn new techniques and services, and there's just other benefits. Having fun, doing something that you love, right? So those are reasons why you may want to compete in nail tech in nail competitions. And then when it comes to becoming a competitor, you will always be presenting a final look. And again, just make sure that you're staying in line with the rules and regulations. Know if they want you to present your art in a display case or if they want you to do it on a real model. And then make sure that you have your competition kit that's locked and loaded with everything that you would need to be successful and win the competition. You also want to consider the theme if you're going to compete. Give yourself enough time to prepare, draw it out, time yourself to see how long it takes you to create that nail art piece. Continue to improve, and then just be methodical with it. You want to practice with your model, continue practicing over time. You want to make sure that you're packing carefully, get a good night's sleep eat before you begin, and arrive early so that you can brief yourself or get briefed over any requirements or agendas for that competition. There are different categories for nail art competition. So you may enter or do a flat freehand painting or 3D nail art. Those are going to be basically the premise of the two types of competitions. You may also, well, let me say that better. So those are two of the types of competitions, but you may also enter a competition where you are doing sculptured nails. Your sculptured nails may have some encapsulations or inlay designs. You may do a French twist, which is a unique twist on the French look. You may also do airbrush nail art. You may also do mixed media, which means that you may do maybe some 3D nail art with some flat nail art or some embellishments with some airbrush. That's what mixed media it means. You're using more than one type of medium. And then there's also fantasy art. So with fantasy art, all mediums are allowed, and this one gives you the most artistic freedoms. That is our summary and review. That is chapter 13, nail art. I know it's very quick and easy, straight to the point. I don't feel like this is a super heavily tested topic other than knowing your color theory and your types of brushes to create your nail art with. But in summary, nail art as an added service and as a way to increase revenue and expand your salon menu is a great way to position yourself. Exposing your clients to nail art through sample display is a great way to get them interested in nail art. You can also wear your own nail art and use your own nails as a conversation piece. You also want to, we've talked about how to use color theory to create nail art, the variety of brushes and techniques that's used to create nail art. We've discussed how to create nail art using polish, monomer and liquid polymer powders. Remember, dryer beads for your 3D nail art, wetter beads for mixing colors together and mixing doing ombres together, color blends. You can also do UV and LED gels for your nail art. We talked about what embellishments are, and that includes your glitters, rhinestones, feathers, foils, etc. We discussed airbrushing, stencils, and stamping, and even using your dip systems to help you to create the velvet effect with nail art. And then lastly, we talked about the importance of nail art competitions. These are our objectives, and I hope that you have learned something here that you can take away and use immediately, or you've picked up or thought about something that you could apply to your service menu, or you have piqued interest in trying a new technique with nail art. We hope that you guys have a great day, and we will see you in our next chapter. Bye.